What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new John C. Reilly film, The Sisters Brothers. The Sisters Brothers is directed by Jacques Audiard, stars John C. Reilly, Joaquin Phoenix, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Riz Ahmed. It tells the story of the Sisters Brothers, two brothers who are more or less assassins for a man, and whenever he needs someone to be killed, or he needs a debt repaid, or anything like that, they're kind of his fixers. So when he needs a prospector who's out trying to get to San Francisco during the gold rush killed, he sends them, and we basically get to see their journey as they attempt to find this prospector and bring him to justice. Now, this is an absolutely beautiful film. I have a soft spot in my heart for westerns. I feel like I say that in every review whenever I review a western, but it's because I love the aesthetic of western films. I love seeing wide shots of wilderness and seeing all the beautiful plains and all of the places that they go to film these movies. And I think this film is no exception. It is absolutely gorgeous and it all looks great. But it's not just the wilderness that's filmed well. The whole film is really well directed. I think that the action doesn't try to showcase the violence and almost highlight it as this good thing. It utilizes the violence as part of the storytelling about the time that they live in and what they're forced to do to survive, rather than this enjoyable, fun thing that they do all of the time. And then along with that, I think that the framing, because framing is very important in this film in the way that the story is told between the brothers of Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly, the sisters, because the framing of how you put them on screen can showcase the relationship that they are currently having. And the film does that a lot. It'll do split shots when they're arguing, it'll do group shots when they're thinking more together or when they're about to have to participate in some team element. And I think that that's very important. It's a small detail that gets forgotten in film a lot, but I think that this film really showcased how it can be utilized. The performances in this movie are all just so good. All of them. They're all amazing. I don't really know how they were able to land four fantastic actors like these guys for one movie, but I'm so happy that they did. John C. Reilly, I think, is kind of the standout in this film. He is such a talented dramatic actor, and so few people know that, because so many people only know him as like the guy in Talladega Nights, or the guy it's gonna be in the new Sherlock and Watson film. He's kind of like Will Ferrell's sidekick, which is upsetting because he's an exceptionally talented, Oscar-nominated dramatic actor who I hope gets more respect as time goes on because of just how good he is. But along with him, Joaquin Phoenix, who's also just so good, is yet again so good in this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, who is arguably my favorite actor in the world, I would say, is so amazing in every single sequence. I loved his very classical accent in the film. It's very fitting for the time period. And then Riz Ahmed, who is also a really talented actor who I think is slowly starting to rise in Hollywood, does a fantastic job playing the prospector that the sisters are hunting. And I think the real strength of having this ensemble cast, even if it's only 4 people, is that the script allows time for all of them to highlight their own story and the ability for all of them to have their own important scenes where we can feel invested in their characters and understand where they're coming from. Because that's something that a lot of ensemble films will struggle with, is some characters feel like they're left behind. But in all honesty, I cared about and enjoyed all 4 characters in this film a lot. The movie's a little more lighthearted than I think most people expect with a Western. It does have a lot of jokes strewn in throughout it to help break down some of the serious moments that take place in the film, which I think was a very nice thing to add in. And then along with that, the general story, while it has its dark moments, never tries too hard to sort of drag you through the depths to make it feel like this exceptionally dark film, even though it is literally about 2 assassins sent to kill a man. My only issue with the film is the pacing. I think that this movie, while it's only 2 hours long, feels a lot longer because they don't try to break it up. They don't try to add in action or some kind of plot device consistently throughout the film. There are a lot of sequences of just John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix riding through the countryside, which, as I said, is beautiful to look at, and their performances are great in their dialogue and everything, but I really think the movie needed a little bit more of just stuff happening to keep the audience invested. While I loved all of the characters and enjoyed watching all of them, there definitely were times where I struggled to stay interested in the story when there were long spans of nothing really happening. And that's not to say that the film is a boring movie, I just think there are a couple sequences that drag a little longer than they need to, and they could have added something to help spice those scenes up. Overall, I think the film's exceptionally well made. I'm gonna give The Sisters Brothers a B. I'm a big fan of westerns, and this film is very much so a classic western, just with a twist in the way it decides to tell its story and sort of the tone of the film, since it's a little more comedic. But I think if you're a fan of westerns, and especially the more old school sense of a western, I think that you'll really enjoy this movie, and I think it's definitely worth you checking out. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of The Sisters Brothers, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.